No, I'm not done packing yet. There's still a good amount of unpacking left to do, but we have new goodies that have arrived today from the Chanel Spring Part 2 collection. I believe it's called, what's it called? Utopia collection, also known as the Camellia collection, because everything has camellias on it. And so, yeah, we're going to do looks with this new line today, and then some favorite Chanel products whenever possible, or some other products I have that I just think would go really well with this line. So if that sounds good to you, then do all the YouTube-y things, like, subscribe, shop my links, Unsolicited Advice on YouTube and on Instagram. So let's begin. So I don't have a Chanel eyebrow pencil, and that's fine because my Benefit one works just fine for me. So I'm going to put that on. So yeah, I would say that I'm probably like 70% done with my packing. There's apparently supposed to be some bad weather this week, and I would love, like, I don't want the power to go out, but I would love like a snow day because I feel like I could get a lot done. And then, as you maybe noticed, if you've been following the vlogs and everything, a ton of new makeup has come out of recent. So I also have some new products from, well, I know Danessa sent something that's supposed to be coming tomorrow, so I'm excited to see whatever that is. I think it might be, she has a new illuminating balm, which I think could be cool. And then what else is exciting and new? Oh, Victoria Beckham. Yes, the quads are here, so I'll need to shoot with those this week too. My Dennis Ross Lip Plump, just a little bit, goes a long way with this product. So yeah, you know, I'll be honest, when I first last fall saw these new Chanel products leak some of the photos, I thought, well, they look okay. I don't know that they're necessarily for me. And then I just had my client advisor send some photos, and then looking at them in person, they are so much more beautiful than they even looked in the photos. So I really am glad I got it, including, I think the quad might be one of the best they've ever done. I'm going to start with my Refer, my number one, because it is dry as molasses here today. And cold, which every time this time of year I hear people bitching about how cold it is. I'm like, it's February, it should be cold. You people get pretty much summer, May to November in the South, so can we not bitch about it being cold? Oh, speaking of the new Chanel, so part of the new Chanel line is they came out with a pair of new, where's my little towel? They came out with a pair of new nail polishes. And I don't always get Chanel nail polishes, but I have got one this time, and it is the one that's I don't know, Utopia. And it's $363, and it is gorgeous. It is gray with multicolored sparkles in it. It's quite different than the green one that came out last fall with the Magician Tarot collection. I thought they were going to be very similar, but they're not. This one's gray with just kind of multicolored sparkles in it. Really cool, and kind of goes with the line. It's, I think, pretty reminiscent of the darkest color in the quad, so I think that's probably what they went for. Now, speaking of the quad, let me remove any excess oils I might have for my lid. And as a primer today, I'm going to use Lisa Eldridge's The Liquid Silk. That's her liquid eyeshadow / primers. And this is in the color Phoebe. I love these products. This one is a really beautiful color. I want to get the other... I have two. I want to get the other ones eventually because I really do love these. And I'm going to go in with a Refer brush. This is just a Refer B05. And just put that down. And it gives a really nice base. And these blend out like a dream. They do dry down pretty fast, but I would say I have never tried a liquid shadow, matte liquid shadow that I like more than these. The Armani is a close second, the Armani mattes. But these, I mean, that just went down so beautifully, and it covers any spots, and it's a great base. Now, the eyeshadow quad, Utopia 387. I don't think the camera's going to do it justice, because what Chanel has done here is we have kind of a sparkly satin, a sparkly topper, a multi-chrome. I don't know if you can see this in the camera, but it goes brown to pink to gold to blue, which for Chanel, that's very different. It's one of the prettiest colors I've seen. And then we have a nice kind of brownish gray satin, not too dark. So I'm going to start with that brownish gray satin color on that same Refer brush. And I'm just going to place that along the crease a little bit higher. It's not a terribly dark color, so you could use your favorite eyebrow pencil. I know Chanel has some that came out. I didn't grab any of these. I might eventually, but I do have the Pat McGrath shade one. It's not as brown as like the black coffee, so I'm going to use that today. And I'm just going to build that brown up a little bit in the outer corner. One thing is, this palette is not particularly deep, but one thing you could do is, use, you know, a wet brush, or use your finger to get a little more depth. Or you could just use your eyebrow pencil, and that's probably what I'm going to do. I am going to take a little bit of this on a slightly wet brush, and you do get a lot more pigment that way. So although it's not a terribly deep brown, it has a lot of depth in it. It's a very pretty color. I'm actually going to take my Pat McGrath in shade, which is the gray brown color, and go ahead and kind of highlight that outer corner a little bit and just create a little bit of a wing. It's not as severe as black coffee, which of course I think is like the gold standard for brown eyeliners. But the shade is really nice because it's a little softer and a little bit more neutral. So that just kind of deepened it up a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and take my finger and grab some of the pinky red color and line that up against the brown. This is kind of a satin color. It's pretty though. It's kind of a neutral rose color. It's not overly pink, and it has a nice shine to it. So the Super Bowl was last night. I don't care at all about that, but I thought the halftime show was very nice. I love Kendrick. He did a really nice job. And of course, it's my favorite pastime of the year every year, listening to white women lose their mind after the Super Bowl. Either the women that did it are too slutty, or the artists are too black, or whatever. White women, middle-aged white women, always find a way to complain about the Super Bowl. It's a favorite pastime. Beyonce was giving the Illuminati. Katy Perry was, you know, fucking that dolphin. It's always something. Madonna was too old to be doing what she was doing. Of course, if it was like fucking Carrie Underwood out there, they wouldn't give a shit about that. Okay, this is the star of this palette and perhaps this collection. I don't think this will do it justice, but it is a multi-chrome that just looks so wet. So I'm going to place that on the inner third and kind of push it over that pink just a little bit. This is a really pretty, unexpected quad. From the photos, I didn't think it looked that beautiful, but it really is. I wouldn't say that it has like Pat McGrath level intensity of a multi-chrome. It kind of reminds me of like Isamaya, their multi-chromes, but it's really beautiful nonetheless. On the inner corner, I'm going to grab the white sparkly color, which has a pink flip. I'd say this is a very classy quad. It just has something a little different in it. And I can imagine in the sunlight, this could be really beautiful because it's very subtle, but a lot of the shades that are in it have a lot of shift to them. So we'll come back and touch up the bottom in a second, but first I want to do my concealer. So before I do anything, I'm going to grab a primer, and for my primer today, I'm going to use the SOIN Perfecteur by Chanel, obviously, because we're doing a Chanel day. And this is a beautiful product. It's just a nice perfector that gives a healthy glow. I also got the illuminator for this collection, which we'll look at in a second. I'm going to use it as kind of a highlighter or highlighter base. But if you wanted, they say you can put that down before your concealer, or even use it as a base, or mix it with your foundation if you feel like your foundation. So there's a lot of ways you could use it. You could use it as a primer, you could use it to mix in with your foundation, you can use it as a highlighter. For this, this product is so beautiful, way overpriced. I don't know why. I guess the component is really expensive because you buy the component and then you get 3 refills, and then they don't sell the refills individually. So I don't know what that's about. But yeah, that's really nice. It just gives a beautiful glowy base that's not too much. Now I'm going to go in with my Chanel SUBLIMAGE Corrector, and we're going to do that as the concealer today. Mine is a little light, so I like to mix it in a little bit with the foundation. I could probably go a shade darker, but it works. You'll see when I put the foundation on top, it blends out anyway. This is a beautiful, way overpriced, but stunningly beautiful concealer, and I honestly don't have another one in my collection that has this consistency. It's like almost like a pudding. It's whipped. It has that smell. It does dissipate after a few. So yeah, I thought the Super Bowl was really good. Was it an all-time favorite for me? Well, no, because it didn't involve Beyonce. However, for what it was, I thought it was a beautiful job. And I thought he did a really great job. It was understated. And I love seeing Serena Williams doing shots fired at Drake. Always a great pastime. Especially given that they dated. Which I think is hilarious that she came out and did that. You may not know this about me if you just follow me along here, but I love tennis, and I have been a Serena Williams fan for years. Like many gays. As you see, this is a little too light. But when I put the foundation on, it'll fix itself. Because both products, the foundation and the concealer, are so lovely. They blend together so well. So I'm going to go in back and finish up the look by going back into that quad and grabbing that brown color and just kind of running that along the bottom. It really is like a smoky taupe. There's not a lot of depth there, but it's a beautiful color. This is a forgiving quad. I would say if you were older, the colors are really subtle and beautifully refined. So I'm gonna grab, I just want to set my under eye. I don't have a Chanel setting powder, like an under eye setting powder, so I'm just gonna grab my Prada, the Prada rebalancing powder. Just one of my favorites, and they really should figure out a way to make this a candle. It smells so good. It's one of the few scented products I actually really like, the scent. Okay, so let's go ahead and do the foundation. For the foundation, I have the SUBLIMAGE from the same line, just the bigger bottle, and the TEINT. And this is a very lovely whipped foundation also. It has a really nice texture. So I'm going to just grab a few dots of it. The only problem is, of course, is that it doesn't come in a bottle. It comes in something that you have to use your finger or a spatula. So what I do is I just lay out a portion on the back of my hand and use that with my finger. That way I'm not contaminating the bottle, and I'm not opening the bottle too much because it's very expensive and you don't want to get it oxidized. So what I like to do is I have my foundation, or not my foundation, but my Chanel lady send me some of these little Chanel containers, and then I just refill them when I'm running low every couple of months from the big bottle, and that way I'm not opening it too much and I'm not sticking my finger in it. Now you'll see here that this blends beautifully with that, and suddenly the concealer is not as light as it was before. This is another product that I don't, as expensive as it is, I don't have another product really like it. It has a really beautiful texture. It's that same thick whipped texture, but it doesn't feel thick on the skin, although it does have that scent. It's just a really beautiful product. I've always kind of wanted to try the La Prairie one. I hear that it's really nice and it's somewhat similar, but there's so many lovely foundations out there that I'm not going to spend that much on one when I have this in my collection already, and this is by far the most luxurious one I have. So I'm just going to work it in. The skin is so dry, it's a miracle. It looks so nice. Okay, so I'm going to go back in with my Pat McGrath shade eyeliner and do the inner waterline and connect it where I already did that wing. And I'm going to be sloppy with this. I don't want it to be too perfect. A little smudgy is good. Yeah, I'm going to grab that brown again and just let that brown smudge out just a little bit. Now, one thing I'm going to do with that quad is go back in with that pink color and just do that inner, just a pop right here on the inner third of my lower lash line. Yeah, that looks nice. I'm also going to take my brush and just grab the whitish color on the tip of it just to do under the brow. This is a subtle but really nice look. And if you were in the sun, I think you'd really notice the flip that's going on my eyes. Okay, so for bronzer, I've got my Chanel Le Beige, the classic. Mine is in Soleil Tan, $3.92. So I'm going to put just a little bit of that on because I want us to really look at the bronzer. Excuse me, the blush. The new blush that came out. So I'm just barely going to tap into this. Just to give the slightest amount of color. It'll also warm up that foundation that is more of a winter shade. I could put more of this on in the summer and it would warm that up just fine to where I could wear that shade all year long. For the price you want to be able to. And this is still, I mean, it's one of the few Chanel products where you get a ton of it. And it's such a beautiful consistency, the Le Beige bronzer. It's really beautiful. And you get a ton of it for, I don't know what that is, like 60 bucks. But I didn't do very much at all, as you can see, just the bare minimum. And I'm going to grab a Refer AA01 brush. I normally wouldn't. I would normally swirl all the colors together, but because we have a new blush, I want us to at least look at what they look like. And so I'm going to try to do the 3 in a line and then blend it together. But this is the new Chanel Camellia Futura blush. It got a lot of publicity because of the beautiful camellia print and the fact that it has 3 lovely colors in it. So I'm going to go up top with the very lightest, which is a very, very, very light, subtle pink. And I'm going to run that up top here. And kind of wrap it around. Then in the center, it has a coral color, so I'm going to wrap that on next, which is much more pigmented. And I'm going to blend that in. And then on the very bottom, it has this kind of nudie, caramely kind of color. It's much more kind of orangey brown color. So I'm going to run that on the bottom. And you'll see that you get 3 very distinct colors, but as I normally would do, then I'm going to take it all together. Because that's when you're going to get a really beautiful color. And I overdid my blush today, so we could see it. But that's easy because I will just take my foundation brush in a second and go over the edges and it'll look perfect. The point is with this, unlike last year's spring collection that had the Rivage quad and then it had the blush that was kind of half and half with the swirl through it and it was half peach and half pink, there wasn't a lot of pigment in it. You don't have to worry about it with this one. This one has a good amount of pigment. It's certainly not like the amount of pigment that's in, like, say, the creams from Chanel, but it's also not a flat matte either, like that other one where you had to literally kind of scrape it off of the spoolie to get pigment. This one you get a good amount. And you can see that looks really nice. And take whatever's left and just kind of go over my nose a little bit. It's that barely like sun-kissed color. That's really pretty. So the other item that I got from the current collection is the Fluid Illuminator. And this is in the color Halo. It's described as golden pink with a green shift. And I will say that I did see a subtle green, but it's nothing green like that would alarm you or make you not want to try it. This is the product that you can mix in with foundation, you can put under foundation, or you can put it on top of, and it's a beautiful illuminator. It has a very subtle green shift, but it would not be enough to detract anyone from wanting to use it. And I like to just take these And it does just give a really cool shift. And just kind of place it, your high points. And then I'll take my foundation brush and just work it in. Just barely. I'm just tapping. I'm not moving product. I'm not doing anything like that. I'm just kind of tapping it over where the highlighter would go, but then also a little bit lower to use it as kind of a blush topper. And it just gives the most subtle shift. It's a really subtle shift. I don't think you should be afraid of it. I saw, was it Jacqueline or whatever? Hey, Jacqueline, saying she was afraid that it would look like a beetle. It doesn't look like a beetle. It's just a really subtle glow. It's really pretty. They did a very nice job with this. I see that I have a little bit of a line, which means I need to shave. The problem with being bald. And I want to see just a tad more highlight there. So I'm going to grab Spring 1, but still available at most retailers. But this was from the early part of this year, from the spring collection. And I'm going to grab, let's see, where's my Refer? Well, that's a good question. My Refer fan brush. And since we're doing pinks, I'm just going to do a mix of these two here. And just at the highest point over that, just the very top part of where I put that illuminator. That's the other nice thing about these illuminators, is that they kind of create a nice base for you to put anything you want on top, like a Chanel highlighter. And this Chanel highlighter, if it's still available, it's a highlighter, oversized highlighter and eyeshadow palette. But as you can see, it works really well with this. So now that my lips are done, there are some lip products. I think there are 2 matte and 2 gloss kind of balms that came out with this collection. I didn't grab any, at least not at this point. I still have the one from Spring 1 that came out just about a month ago. And this is in the color Honey Bliss, and I think that it will look really nice with it. I did want to deepen it up a little bit, so I grabbed my Mob Beauty liner, and this is in, please don't rub off, M1990, which is becoming a fast favorite of mine. And I'm just going to line my lip. I saw that one of the ones that came out with it was kind of a purple lavender one, like a lip gloss. And I thought the Valentina one that they came out with around early spring, winter would be really nice if you wanted to do a purple look. So that's just kind of like your lip, but better, neutral. And then I'm going to grab that Honey Bliss color from Spring 1. So essentially January. And this is February, Spring 2. This is the first collection of spring. It was the 4 individual colors and the highlighter palette and a couple of these. And then the second collection is supposed to be what bridges you into summer. It's like a smoker, but I'm not. It's just kind of a caramely color, but it looks really beautiful with it. And if you already have it, you might want to consider waiting, because you know there'll be a Summer 1 collection before you know it. But I would say, as far as the quad is concerned, and the blush and the highlighter fluid and the nail polish, it's a beautiful collection, as you can see. A little more subtle than I normally do, but it has a beautiful flip to it, and I think it would be really beautiful for spring and summer. You could even darken it up and bring it into fall. I think it's really lovely. So I hope you enjoyed today. Yeah, what? Wait, we gotta stop. We haven't even done lashes. Let's throw a lash on real quick. But while I do that, and I'm just gonna use Pat McGrath Black, while I do that, I'll say I hope you enjoyed. I'm gonna cut in the photos and videos in a second. But I hope you enjoyed, And if you did, please consider shopping my links or liking my videos or all that mess. And I also put my Chanel Beauty Advisor in there because oftentimes I'll get messages from people saying, I tried to get it, but it sold out. And if you get a good Chanel Beauty Advisor like I have and have had at the Chanel boutique I use, they let you know the minute it comes in. So you can see the liner does make a difference and makes it very much more dramatic. So I hope you enjoyed, and I will talk to you soon.